I declare open the Standing Committee on Legal and Social Issues public hearing for the inquiry into the use of cannabis in Victoria.
I think the starting point of any discussion about the legalisation of cannabis has to be a recognition of the enormity of the failure of cannabis prohibition.
Given the significant harms associated with the current drug policy, there is increasing recognition globally that a new approach is needed.
The community is actually, showing through their actions that the current approach has failed, that they're disregarding it, which is, from a respect for our laws, I think highly problematic, and it means that the laws don't fit our community.
My question is related to the impact of use of cannabis on drivers' ability to drive safely. So the question is, does it impair a driver's ability to drive safety? And does it pose a risk on road safety?
I think the challenge here is that we know that cannabis has a very long half-life. It gets absorbed into fat, it stays in the system a long time. And one of the challenges, I think, for law enforcement is that a reading of cannabis in the system suggests that there's cannabis available in the body, but it doesn't necessarily mean it relates to impairment, because it could still be there several days after the acute effects of the compound are no longer in the system.
Shouldn't we just sit back and pause and wait and see of those findings in relation to those very harmful effects of cannabis use that you described with the psychoses in young people and frankly anyone?
I don't think the best solution is to just leave it and let everything keep going as it is. We do need to address some of these really complex issues head on and put some recommendations forward to school systems and teachers and educators and healthcare professionals about what to do at the moment to go forward from here.
I would like to hear your opinions, particularly when you say that the Pennington Institute argue that a conservative regulatory regime should be introduced with emphasis on conservative. What do you mean by that?
I think the most important part is that we need to be carefully monitoring changes as they occur and addressing any unintended or unforeseen consequences of a legalised market.
What is the current state of play regarding drug education, and how effective are programs in schools and community awareness campaigns?
The expectations of drug education that most people have, especially if they're not well acquainted with the literature, is that drug education is enormously effective. It's not, it's modestly effective at best.
Having education around, for example, overdose risk, dependence risk, mental health risk in relation to cannabis, I think for the whole community, including young people, but for everyone, is fundamentally important, because we don't have much health literacy in relation to drug use issues. It's shrouded in secrecy and deception.
I did find interesting in your submission, you're calling around for maximum THC levels and minimum CBD levels, and also the fact that you're calling for the promotion of edibles over smoking. Could you comment on a bit more about that?
In some jurisdictions, there's a cap of 15%. In others, that the maximum amount varies. So I think some expertise would need to be called on to identify what would work best there. In terms of the type of product, the concern around inhaling cannabis is lung damage, and by offering other types of products, you can remove that potential source of harm.
Do you think that New Zealand was on the right track, and is it something that that type of bill of regulation would be something that would be suitable for Victoria?
What was terrible in New Zealand was to have a referendum, and I think we elect politicians for good reason to make difficult judgment on important questions, and referendum is not a good way to sort out these complicated questions.
That concludes today's public hearing of the inquiry into the use of cannabis